Second question to Mr. Freeland. Historians familiar with the history of Ukraine and the Soviet Union during the Second World War say the fact that so many Canadians do not know much about this history played a role in how Yaroslav Hunka ended up being recognized in the House of Commons last month. You're someone who is familiar with that history. So when the former speaker introduced Yaroslav Hunka as a, quote, Ukrainian Canadian war veteran from the Second World War who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians, what did you think in that moment?
So I think it's really important to start with the tremendous pain that this brought to so many communities in Canada, starting with the Jewish community in Canada. I actually this morning spoke with a rabbi who serves a synagogue in my own riding, and he talked to me about how painful it was for him and his congregation. And I think that's something that we all need to recognize and be really, really aware of, and listen. I think the second thing that is very important to recognize is this was the sole initiative of the former speaker. He did not inform the government of Canada or the government of Ukraine about what he was going to do. It was a very grave error that was painful for Canadians, painful for communities in Canada. I would say starting with the Jewish community in Canada, and harmful to the brave people of Ukraine. The former speaker has taken responsibility for that very grave error and has stepped down. All of us and our colleagues from other parties and the Senate and Ukrainian officials were all there on the floor. Obviously, none of us understood, none of us recognized what was happening, and that compounds the very grave error, and that makes it really painful for all of us. I see my colleagues here also nodding. No one recognized what was going on. That is terrible, and it is terrible that it happened. And the former speaker, acknowledges his mistake and stepped down. But I'm just going to conclude by saying that, this is it. I think it's incredibly painful for everyone who was in the House at that time. A horrible moment, but it's not about us. For me, the real, the very real pain is that it's really, really hurt so many people in Canada, so many communities, starting with the Jewish community in Canada. That's awful. And it is terrible that this has damaged and harmed the brave people of Ukraine and the Ukrainian president, who we were so proud to welcome.